Hello everyone, this is Sunniva.
And this is Johannes.
And you are watching Board Gaming Ramblings.
And today we are taking a look at Expedition to Newdale. This is a game by Alexander Pfister and it is published by Lookout Games.
It plays from 1 to 4 players in about 90 minutes.
Yeah, so this is the first ever Patreon chosen review game.
Yes.
That means we have a
fun.
Patreon. Yay, it's fun.
Yay.
And if you want to support us, even if you support us at the lowest level, you will be able to help out choose one game that we review every month.
That's
so
nice.
you can go check that out in the description if you want that. Also, if you haven't subscribed, do it because it makes us happy. But Expedition to Newdale, this is one of the games from Alexander Pfister last year. He usually makes like a small game from Lookout Games, in English. I don't know why I'm saying it in German. I just used to say Lookout Spieler.
Yeah.
But yeah, they make like a smaller game with him usually every year. Port Royal, Tybor the Builder, Oh My Goods, which this is basically the board game version of Oh My Goods. He then made a lot of the campaign expansions to that. We've only played Oh My Goods a couple of times, but we love Alexander Pfister usually, so we had to get this one. And now we have played it and we will talk about it because that's kind of the point of a review. So what you're doing in this game is kind of a worker placement game where you will choose actions to do. You will build buildings that produce resources. Some resources are worth more. The thing you can do in this game, which is pretty cool, is that you can chain basically resource production. So some resources can turn into other resources which are worth more, and then you can spend them to get more buildings and more victory points. And you're trying to do this over the course of 7 rounds. You can get more workers, you can unlock some special abilities, and you're also trying to build, when you build the buildings, you build them out on a map. And during the game, there's going to be 8 chapters to the campaign. The board is going to change up, some of the rules are going to change up, and you're going to play through kind of a story. And is the story good? Is the story bad? Is the gameplay good? Watch this video to find out.
Cliffhanger, right here.
Yeah, now we're going to wait for a week and we're going to come back with the solution to the cliffhanger.
Dun dun dun. Okay.
1 week later, okay. Rulebook. In this game, there's like 2 rulebooks. This is the Chronicle. Don't need to go into great detail on this. It's basically just telling you every single thing that happens during the campaign. It's the story of the campaign. It's the different rules, everything that changes up basically during the game. The rulebook here is 16 pages long. It's pretty decent. The only kind of, there's not much to say. It's a pretty straightforward game, not too many rules to remember or misremember. We played rule the first time we played wrong, but that wasn't the rulebook's fault. It was my fault. The only thing that's kind of not that good is that the setup for the game is just saying that you are playing, this is a setup. And it's just basically the setup for chapter 1. And it doesn't really say how to set up anything else. Because at the back of the board, back of the rulebook, there's a table that tells you what is included in all the other chapters. So basically, it should have said this is the setup for chapter 1. Look at this page to be able to see the setup for other chapters. Because you will understand this, but it could have been a little bit clearer. And it might get people confused, but know that now. The back side is basically different. This is a hard one to see in the light because it is so glossy. But yeah, it's the rulebook. Pretty decent rulebook, not much to say.
Yeah.
Artwork and components.
They're okay. I'm not heavy into the artwork style that has been used here. It's the same as in Oh My Goods, for example.
Yeah.
It's decent, but it's not my style. But the components are nice quality.
Yeah, it's Clemens France. You know what you get. It's the same as
true.
in Agricola. It's the same as in in lots of games.
Yeah, it's classical.
He's doing the same thing basically in all of his games.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I like it. It's a pure Euro. Because of Agricola, that's one of the. It's a classical Euro now. So when you see Clemens France art, you know what you will get. It's not going to be an Ameritrash game. It's going to be a classical Euro game.
I look forward to the day he's doing artwork for a Ameritrash game with lots of miniatures and stuff.
That would be really, really cool.
That would be really
miniature
weird.
Sculpted out of Clemens France artwork.
What?
That would be nice. Yeah, but the components are on par. There's nothing really to say. The artwork is okay. The board looks cool. I like the maps.
Yeah.
They are easy to see what's going on. It's functional as well as the artwork is fine. If you've seen Clemens France art, you will know how it looks.
Yeah.
And it looks like this. And if you don't look like that, you won't like the look of this.
Yeah, that's
Not
true.
too much to say. basically.
Yeah.
So let's talk before we go into, because we need to talk about the story here, we need to talk about the gameplay, and basically those two kind of separate because they're two different things that would make this game really good together. But let's first talk about the playtime and player count.
Yeah, so we played this at 2 and 3 players, and the reason that we haven't played it at 4 is when we played it at 3, it was way too long, we thought. So we've played most of these games, just the two of us.
Yeah, the 2-player game has been like around 1 hour 15 minutes, 1 hour 20 minutes. The 3-player game was 2 hours. I guess you can take that a bit down because there was one player who hadn't played then, but you will spend some time playing this game. It's 7 rounds, so, and you will spend more than 10 minutes a round, so yeah, it is probably, you can take it a bit down, but I think that with 4 it would be at least 2 hours.
Yeah, and my problem with that is that more players doesn't add anything to the game. It's a little majority thing with the power.
Yeah, the armor
but that's
things.
the only thing. So I don't see the positives with playing with more. I would play it with 2 and be happy.
Yeah, because there's not much interaction in the game.
No, it's just like, oh, you got the 2 bonus points for building on that thing before I did, and oh, you got that bonus tile. That's basically it.
That you can get when you place the buildings on the map. Yeah, that's the only thing, and the power at the end, as you said, which doesn't. Yeah.
And I mean, for me, we have to get into this, of course, but for me, this is a shorter game.
Yeah.
So when you add more and more players, and
doesn't add to the gameplay.
It takes too long. Yeah.
Takes too long, basically. So for us, 2 players are nothing with this game.
Yeah.
So the weight, what do you think?
It's not. It's basic. It's not very.
Basic.
It's basic. It's a light to medium, I think. It's not like these heavy decisions. Pretty much you know what you want to do. You just have to like, I need this to work to get this produced. Do I get to do this round, or will I wait to the next? So it's pretty simple game, like rules wise.
Yeah, it's just like the lower end of medium. It's not like a light game, but because it has some moving parts. Like, oh my goodness, it's a light game. This adds something to that.
Absolutely.
So it's a very, very lighter set of medium.
Yes.
I wouldn't. Yeah, there's not too much going on really. There's not too much to think about, as you just said. So let's talk about the story and then also in that the replayability. So the story in this game. Do you want to begin?
Yeah, at least it isn't called Newdale Stories, so I'm happy about that.
I wonder how long we're gonna go with that.
Yeah, a long time.
If you know, you know.
So I didn't expect like this thrilling, engaging story with cliffhangers and action. I didn't do that, but it's a campaign, but I'm more invested in the story in Maracaibo. And and that's not
I'm not really invested in the story
no.
there.
So this was basically, we're going to go here.
Yes.
And we need to get this stuff along the way. That's the story basically.
So yeah, the story is you're traveling from this city, I don't remember the name of, and to Newdale.
I think Longsdale or
Longsdale, yeah, that's correct. Longsdale to Newdale. You like Dales, but this one's kind of long and you want a new one. So you're traveling to the Newdale.
But there are something at stake here. Some ice giants are coming to like attack us, maybe something. And also there's like this split. Do you choose to trust the government, or do you like go with the clans in the north or something? Yeah.
There's basically one splitting of the story, which doesn't change up too much. But other than that, it's just you're traveling.
Yeah, and getting stuff.
And basically that's it. Like this, the beginners are like, oh, now you're here, and now we need to get armor because that's what we need next. And then that story, that chapter is about getting that armor and those weapons and trading them in for points at the end of the game. And the next one is like, oh no, we need some more bread. And then you get bread and you trade it in for points at the end of the game. And there are some at the end of the game, the end of the campaign, the everything changes up a bit. We're not going to go into anything like if you think these are spoilers, because this is not a story game. But the story here, like,
if you're playing this for the story,
you're playing it for the wrong reasons.
Aye.
Yeah. So what I feel is that as you said, the story in Maracaibo is better. It feels like it was just I don't know how the story is in the Oh My Goods expansions, but I hope they're better than this because I heard some really great things about playing all the campaign. But okay, so there's two things. Let's talk about the gameplay out of this as well, because so replayability will come later. Because the story is one thing, but the thing that would make this really a cool game is that if you have like a core game that changed a lot during the gameplay, like kind of a legacy game without being a legacy game, like you can add more mechanisms, do it more, make it more complex, maybe make it more interesting. So does it do that?
Yeah, but it takes its time doing it. I thought like when we looked at like the last scenarios, I'm just like, oh, this is different.
Yeah.
Here you need to like change up the way you're playing to like adapt to the new rule set. But that's the last scenario or something.
The two last ones are a bit different.
The 4 first rounds you play of the game are pretty similar, and doesn't change up the rules like. Yeah, that's a teeny tiny bit.
Yeah, the first and the second is on the same map.
Yeah.
And the map here is just kind of where you place your houses, like your buildings, but you kind of travel like that. That's the theme. You travel to the country or to the countryside, and there is some choices there, and you want to move far because you get some points. At the end of the game, you have a secret objective if you move to a different or to a specific place, but. The first game I was like, okay, yeah, let's play the second one and see how it changes up. It's like nothing.
Nothing changed.
There's kind of the new story which says now you don't need to get this, now you need to get this, and maybe there's a character coming and saying, oh, please do this. And so
that's basically
it's just like a different building that I need to build to get a different good. On the same board, and then you play the next one, you get a new board, and there's a couple of nuances there because on some of the boards, if you don't want to know anything about the game, but again, it's not about that. There are some like new action spaces that you can use, kind of like in Marco Polo. If you have a building there, you can use the action, and then changes up the game like a tiny bit, but a lot less than I would have liked it to do.
Yeah, because you can also say with this game that this is not a campaign game. This is a game that has different maps, and you could have like this. What do you call it? These main goals that you switch them out each round, and that would be kind of similar to what we played.
Yeah.
And when the story isn't that engaging either,
it's non-existent.
Isn't engaging
at
either.
All.
Then I don't get this has to be a campaign game. It didn't have to be that for me.
But you can play it as the scenarios. Like you don't have to play it as a campaign, of course. Because you're gonna say, oh, let's play scenario 5 or chapter 5.
It didn't feel like that much changed up, and they took a little long, I think.
Yeah,
doing the changing.
Basically, if this was only the 4 different boards and you played chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, I think it would have been more interesting.
Yeah.
But I understand like they want to do it more because 4 games, it's a little bit too little to get it. But then maybe make another map. And I know there's a lot of things going into making all these different maps and making them work and making.
And map isn't that big of.
No, but it is in the last couple of games. It is a lot of different. It is very different. I feel like. The story isn't there, and I know like we're not gonna talk too much about that, but so let's take away that. Let's say it's not a story game; it's just like a scenario-based game.
Yeah.
Then again, the scenarios aren't different enough. Like if you're just gonna play 1 and then 7, it's gonna be very different. But if you play them as the game is made to play it as a progression, doesn't change up enough to make it interesting.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah, I agree.
So
you have to dip more into the core game here. I
think. That's what I was thinking. Like so, but just quickly on replayability, I don't think the replayability is very high because, of course, you can play it 8 times, but after that, but if you really love the game, but that's the case with everything. But there is 8 different scenarios, so if you like the game, you can at least play it 8 times. So I guess the replayability is okay.
Yeah, 8 times for board game isn't bad.
No.
Actually, so the replayability is okay, but it isn't any better because of the campaign, I think.
No, and I wouldn't be like, because the box is saying like relive the scenario, the story many times. Like why? Because there's no story.
Yeah.
So let's talk about like the basic gameplay, because if all of these things doesn't work well, then if the basic gameplay is amazing, then it will save the game. I guess you know where this is going, but
yeah, but let's explain why.
yeah, let's talk about it. So what do you think? Like about let's talk a bit about Oh My Goods, because we play that also now when we were preparing for this review, because we had only played it once when we got it and I wasn't in love with it.
Yeah.
So
I quickly remembered when we got into Oh My Goods why I didn't love it in the first place. It's a luck-based, really like fast card game where you're doing like these chains that are really similar that Newdale is based on, and I get why people like it, but it's too lucky for me to enjoy, even in that short amount of time. So that's like the resource producing is what is like the base game in Expedition to Newdale. But they've made some changes, and I'm happy with some of those changes. I think like the chaining with making resources that you already have like processed from other cards and doing these better goods with those. I think they've done some interesting changes there that I really enjoyed. And also getting what you need to actually produce on the card with some colored dudes that
the servants, I think.
That you pick from a bag, and you have to like have this certain number of the workers that you need on your factory. Assistants, thank you. I think that is cool, and I also think that mitigating the luck in that is done really neatly.
Yeah, I agree. I think like the changes done to that, like basically, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree about all the changes. They made it less random, and they had to do it because this is a 90-minute board game. It's not like a 25-30-minute card game that just like boom, 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 doesn't really matter. I agree with you on Oh My Goods. I think it didn't bother me as much as you, but it's still like it's a very lucky game. But it doesn't bother me when it's like a 30-minute game.
Fast,
if you like that, like it's not our style of game, and of course when you start with that, a lot of people love Oh My Goods. I think if you love Oh My Goods, you might like this better than we did, because it is based on that, but it is longer, and it's still, even though they mitigated some of the luck, the card draw especially, I think, even feels more lucky here than in Oh My Goods, because there are more different buildings, it feels like.
Yes,
and
especially throughout the campaign.
Yeah, because more buildings are getting put in.
Yes.
And as we said, like most of the kind of missions for each game is like, get bread. I never drew a bread, even though I drew like 40 cards. I might not draw that bread card.
It's insane how unlucky you can get with drawing, because you draw a lot of cards.
Yes.
Because if you get unlucky, you can go to an action that lets you draw even more cards.
Yeah, get rid of everything
you get some points, you get new cards sometimes, and there's a lot of chances, if you want to, you can get the cards you need. But I have had extremely unlucky turns with this, when I just sit there waiting for this card that I need to get like moving. And this is actually a tactical game. You shouldn't maybe be like that obsessed with this one card that you need, but turning 20 coins into 12 victory points that's a huge deal.
Yeah, because most of the missions, not all of them, but most of the missions are basically, we need these resources. You can turn 6 coins value or 6 coins of value of that resource into 8 into 6 points.
Yeah.
And 20 into 12 points.
I think so.
And that's a big conversion. Like you can get points anywhere, but usually 5 coins is a point. So that's like 4 points. It's 12 points at the end of the game. So it's a lot of points to get from that. And I think it's hard because you get like 50 points throughout the game, 50, 60 points. 12 points is a lot. It's hard to get that from somewhere else. And also, as you said, like the story is saying you need to do this now. So you feel like you need to do it. And sometimes the card you need will maybe get added to the game as you play, and that's cool. But it gets too lucky. Like if I begin the game and it's like, oh, I wanna build this because I need that, so I'm gonna keep that. But to do this, I need to chain it to another resource, and I never get that resource. I think last game we played, I drew 30, 40 cards and never saw that card.
Yeah.
And that might not bother you, and it bothers me less in a 30-minute game. But this is a 1.5-hour game I would love it to be a bit more strategic, a bit more depth, basically.
Yeah, so that's my main complaint about this game. Like, I don't know, that I want to do something different with. I want to be... The goals could be like too different, so you don't... If you're unlucky with one, you could still go for the other.
But there are usually
maybe.
like 2 or 3 different resources.
Yeah,
that means like there are 3 different cards with a lot
Yeah.
of them. So you will be really unlucky if you never get one of them.
Yes.
But if you get it earlier in the game, you will be able to produce it more times and be better at it. But let's look away from the luck.
Yeah.
Let's because we don't like... we think this is too lucky, and that's okay. If you don't think it's too lucky, that's okay then.
Yeah.
But so what other qualities does this game have? What do you think like is the positive things about the game?
I really like chaining my resources. I really like seeing because you draw half of you get some information about the colored dudes, the assistants.
From the event.
Before you decide what actions you're going to do, and then you draw some randomly from the bag, and then you'd have to, when you're placing your actions, you're just like, oh, I need 1 more red. Then I like bet on that I get 2 more reds, so I can do 1 extra resource this turn. I think that is really cool. And when you get a new card, you can like, oh, this is an easy one, then I'm going to put this on a space, then I can produce a lot. Or this is hard to do, so I'm going to put it on a space that I can get it a little bit cheaper. I think that is really cool. And I also like the action spaces. I think it's cool that you are using your dudes or your workers both to produce the resources, and you also have to decide, oh, do I use one of my pressures my dudes to do an action instead of getting my resources.
Yeah, I also, that's like the thing that is the most fun is that chaining and the resources. That's what I like the most. Nothing more to say basically about what I like, because there's a lot of things I don't like here.
That is the things that I like.
The core thing here is really nice, but I just feel like there's just not enough depth. I think like the choices are really easy because you do want to unlock more workers as soon as you can. You do want to unlock some of these special things because they both unlock and they give you points if you unlock some of these abilities that makes them better. And there is really not that much depth here, that feels like. And for such a light game, which it ends up being for us especially, because we don't like the luck, it ends up being way too long for me.
Yeah, this is a game for me. If I was interested to play it again, this had to go fast, please. And also the board isn't that interesting, I think.
It adds more when you get to the point where you get the actions.
Yeah, absolutely. So that gets more interesting over the course of the campaign. But in the beginning, like the first time we played, it wasn't it wasn't that much to do. It's choices, but none of them are like, what should I do?
Yeah, so should we do some final thoughts maybe?
Yeah.
Because I feel like we talked about almost all the things I wanted to.
Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah, I've done most of the thinking already, I think.
Do you want to start?
Yes, I can start. I already spoke about what I like and what I dislike about this game.
Yeah.
I think you will know the best what appeals to you and what doesn't. And if you have a problem with the luck or like the story, and if you think that's okay. If you like Oh My Goods, I think you will like this too. But it takes a longer time though, so you have to be like prepared for that. But I don't need this in my collection. I have games in this category that I would rather play that has more, I don't know, gameplay for the time spent on it.
Oh yeah.
And I really enjoy like puzzling with the resources and producing things and stuff, but I think it's a little bit too lucky and the things around it isn't that interesting to me, so I'm going to rate it a 5.5.
Okay.
I see solid mechanisms in the bottom of this, but it doesn't click with
No,
me.
but that's
No.
okay, yeah. Because it's a solid game. Like, if you see this review and it's like, everything we say we don't like will be stuff you like, then that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because you will like the game, but I agree with you, it's not for me. It's too lucky, it feels like the choices aren't as good. And this might be like my least favorite Alexander Pfister game. He usually makes like some of my favorite games, so this wasn't one of them, and that's fine. Because probably the next one will be good again.
Yeah.
And we have enjoyed so many smaller games. Like, oh my goodness, was the biggest one. Port Royal is really good. We did like Tybo the Builder the once for the time we played that. But yeah, this wasn't for me. Fell a bit flat. I was kind of disappointed in it because I wanted it to be more interesting. I'm also going to give it a 5.5. But you will know best. Like, if you think this looks cool, check it out. If not,
because this
don't.
isn't a bad game.
No. It's a solid design.
Yeah.
But not for us.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the video.
Yep.
Thank you so much for watching. I'm Johannes.
And I'm Sunniva.
And you've been watching Board Gaming Ramblings, and bye-bye.